I'm Danny Otto. Welcome into an all-new episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we get into the episode, just wanted to issue major spoiler alert. We are going to be going over everything that happened in the Echo series. So if you haven't watched that yet, you may want to pause this video, head over to Disney Plus, check out that series, and then come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show.
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
All right, joining with me to break down everything from the Echo series, it's Rico.
Hey, hi, hello.
Hey, hi, hello.
How's it going?
It's going good. How about you?
Not too bad.
Anyway, I mean, let's jump right into it. Obviously, we're covering the entire Echo series. We didn't want to, do the episodes flowed too well together, I guess, to kind of break them all apart and do 5 separate videos. We figured this would be the easiest way to kind of get all of our thoughts out about the entire series, because it really did kind of feel like one continuous thing that just kind of had, some stopping points for more anticipation, I think, for the events that were about to happen. But to me, you had said this to me because you watched it before I did, that it flowed very easily to the next episode type of thing. And I definitely agree with you. Like it definitely, you can get it done in one afternoon. Basically, and going right through it. So this was kind of the best way to do it, was to kind of do all 5 episodes together, encompass the entire series. But right off the bat, I enjoyed it. There's one person in particular that I enjoyed kind of the most. And you would think that I would be about to start talking about Echo, which, look, I really loved Maya as a character, and I really can't wait to kind of see her in more stuff. I know I liked having her in Hawkeye, and we got that was kind of our introduction to her. And I'm excited to kind of see her pop up in the upcoming Daredevil stuff, and more street level stuff moving forward. I'd love to see her in that. But the person that I have to say right off the bat that I really enjoyed was Cousin Biscuits. And you even said it. You knew he was going to be my favorite character before I even put anything on the rundown. He's just that, that goofy, lovable side character that I feel like a kind of a series that's a little bit more on the gritty side has to have kind of one of those characters to kind of just be like, oh, hey, look at him type of thing. It's just like, I loved Biscuits. He was my favorite. But anyway, Rico, what were some of your instant reactions to the Echo series?
Yeah, I was telling you before that if this was anything like the old Netflix shows, that old Cousin Biscuits would have been just straight, but
Biscuits.
Yeah, but I thought this, I'm kind of like mixed feelings about the show overall. So on one hand, I thought this was a really good blend of the Netflix style of like gritty storytelling. You had a lot of the gruesome violence that we were used to in those shows that kind of made them a lot more, I guess, appealing to a lot of different more audiences, right? Yeah. And then it also incorporated elements that are very MCU like when we kicked off the show with the old ancestors, with Chafa, I believe is her name, with the original kind of Choctaw that came more from like another dimension, it seemed like. Yeah. And right away we're kind of getting like that, this feels like, Miss Marvel, kind of again Shang-Chi, kind of like all these things are dealing with kind of tribal ancestry as well as other dimensions. So it's just kind of like another show that's incorporating that on like on a grittier scale, I guess you could say. And it also is very family oriented too, because we have a big emphasis on Maya and her family, whether it's her cousins, is Biscuits or Bonnie, or her grandparents, Scully, Chula. First of all, Scully and Chula are some of my favorite characters of the show. I really love the dynamic that they have between not just themselves and Maya, but also between each other. Every time they were on screen together, I just I absolutely loved it. So yeah, I thought that part was really cool. I thought it was how they incorporated the whole Choctaw, like in Native American like tribal and stuff into it. Because that's real life Native American history incorporated into like Marvel elements. You're not just like making up a tribe for the sake of the comics. And so I thought that was really cool. But on the other hand, it left a lot to be desired. I felt like we didn't get enough with the family. I felt like that, and there's a lot of moments I felt like Rome was a little bit unearned because we didn't get enough of like certain character moments between Maya and like Bonnie or Maya and Chula or whoever. There's a lot of stuff that I feel like we could have seen fleshed out a little bit more that could have given us a little bit more impact. Another character I really liked too was Uncle Henry, who was running the roller ring. I thought he was a really cool, like he fit in this world really well. He felt like another like one of those Netflix Marvel kind of characters. So yeah, there's a lot to like about the show for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally agree with you in the family dynamic, kind of bringing back kind of the Miss Marvel series vibes, where you kind of get introduced to this entire family and you get to see the interactions between them. And just like you, I totally agree. I would have liked to have seen more. Like maybe if this had been, more episodes, we would have been able to spend kind of more time unpacking and unfolding, some of these character dynamics and stuff like. I would have even loved to have seen more flashbacks from, Maya younger and kind of had those interactions with her mother and stuff like that before the accident actually happened, and mother and father before the interaction, like, or before the accident like happened and stuff like that, because we get her at the first episode, and then we get, her at the end of the fifth episode type of thing.
Right.
With flashbacks of her mother and kind of showing how her mother has had kind of this special bond and these special powers that, Maya has, started to figure out, I guess. And we just, just like you said, it kind of just, we didn't get the necessary extra stuff to kind of make that connection feel a little bit more
Yeah, to
special.
get that extra little oomph, I guess.
Yeah,
What we're
exactly.
talking about, right?
Yeah. So, but you want to get to some big takeaways?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to kick up big takeaways. And this is no surprise. Look, just like you were saying, it was kind of like the perfect lead into my takeaway, which there's plenty of stuff in this series that I did enjoy and that I could have picked as a big takeaway to kind of talk about. But just like you were saying, where we kind of had that feel of, our like Marvel Netflix shows, we got the Fisk from the Marvel Netflix show, basically. Like we had him there. Like I know we had Fisk in the Hawkeye series, but number one, he was only in there a very short period of time. But number two, it just didn't feel like him. Like he was there and he kind of, he threw some people around and that was about it.
Wasn't enough time to establish him like that, right?
Exactly. But this Fisk, like we got him back in his, true form, and just the conversations that we had between him and Maya and him and anyone else. It's just, we had that, like, I'd kind of forgot because I hadn't gone back and really, rewatched the Marvel Netflix shows in a while. And this is kind of this. Yeah, this kind of makes me want to go back and rewatch all of Daredevil and Jessica Jones and, Punisher, like all of the, like, get back into that world again and kind of do that, because it's kind of the entry level grittiness, like, type of thing that kind of gets you ready for those series. But man, the level of tension that Fisk can bring to a scene, a simple, and the scene I'm picturing in my head is when Fisk shows up at Maya's childhood home and says he wants to have Sunday dinner like they used to, and she goes, well, it's Tuesday or it's Thursday or something like
Oh
that.
yeah.
But like at any moment, the way he was talking, at any moment, like I could have thought, I thought a fight was gonna break out. Like when she accidentally drops the knife, and just it was just so, he just brings so much tension to a scene. And I had kind of forgot about that. And just having that back it makes me so excited for like the future of what we could have him as like a bigger villain type of thing. So yeah, so that was like my biggest takeaway from this series, was just kind of feeling that tension back again and kind of getting kind of ready for what the future is for the MCU if this guy is unleashed against, some of the other characters in the MCU moving forward, type of that. But Rico, what were some of your takeaways from the Echo series?
Yeah, I was left with a lot of questions when it came to Fisk in this series. One, his whole character arc felt like almost like a Sith Lord in Star Wars. Like this whole thing where he's kind of like raising. It's obviously showing us the story of Maya, so it's all about her life with Fisk and how like Fisk was kind of raising her up to be like the one that almost succeeds him in a way. And there's that one scene where he offers her the hammer and like go ahead and finish like the job basically, and like it's totally like a Sith Lord thing, like go ahead, like the student kills the master, takes his place, and then he becomes like the one, and I was just like, what a weird like kind of character arc for him to go through, especially now that like we've incorporated all this stuff from the past and we know like his history going into this now. I just found a very interesting a very interesting move. And then just regarding that whole thing, like what exactly are Maya's powers again? Like we see her have a connection with her ancestors for the past. So like, and obviously her mom brings up, how she kind of echoes these generations through her, and we see her being able to channel it through Chula and Bonnie at the end. So it's something that is clearly tied to like a bloodline thing. So I don't know if it's like a bloodline power because they're tied to Chafa, the original Choctaw that came through like that portal. So I find that part very interesting, but I don't like what's the actual like power that she does, because she touches Fisk on the head and he starts, I think he starts seeing some his past, like he basically just goes through a therapy session, and then he's like, okay, I got to get the hell out of here. And I
Well,
was just like, okay.
I don't know what her true power set is, but in that moment, at the very least, she was doing the same thing that her mother was doing, and her
Mhm.
mother was the healer. Like, it was supposed to be, from what I understood, it was each past character that had powers had a
Yeah, who are
different,
all the names of the episodes, by the way?
right, and
Yeah.
and they had a different style power type of thing.
Mhm.
And so
One can play lacrosse really well.
no, one was supposed to be cunning, another was supposed to be a healer, but her mother was a healer.
Right.
My point is, her mother was a healer, and so she was doing the same thing that her mother was doing, when she was healing the
Mm.
woodpecker type of thing. So my thought, at least my take on that scene, was she was trying to mentally help Fisk, like, heal, like, get
Let's
over
get over his trauma.
his anger, his past trauma, everything that he was holding on to that was making him this evil Fisk, basically. Um,
Mm.
and she was trying to, get him to let go. And I guess it didn't work because he shoved her out of his head instantly, type of thing, and got the fuck out of there.
Yeah, he didn't like that very much.
Yeah.
But he's still very messed up. So it's who knows if that's just a catalyst for something worse,
Exactly. She might have done more harm than good. We don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see.
Exactly.
But you want to get to some predictions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. All right. Why don't you kick off predictions?
All right. Well, that leads me right into my prediction, which
Perfect. It's
is
almost like we set it up.
honestly the most intriguing part of the entire series, in my opinion, is this post credit scene where we have Fisk and his he's getting away from I wish I would remember the name of the city they were at now.
I just
Um,
remember Oklahoma.
Yeah, they're in
Yeah.
Oklahoma, and he's getting out of there, and he's on his plane, and he's talking about he's talking about meeting the other heads, which if now that we're incorporating the Netflix show canon into there, that could mean the other crime family heads that we know. So it could mean like the hand and all that. So there's a lot that could mean.
Yeah.
And then he's watching on the TV, and they're talking on the news about how there's no candidate for mayor yet, and they need a bare knuckle brawler, someone that knows like the city's pain, stuff like that. I'm like, oh my god, it's like these lines are just so perfectly tailored for Kingpin. It's pretty funny when you hear them say it out loud, but then you see the look on Kingpin's face, and you're just like, oh shit, we're about to get Mayor Fisk, which Fisk as mayor in the comics is a thing that's happened obviously before, but it makes for some pretty awesome storytelling because when you have Fisk in control of New York City, that's bad news. Bad news written all over it. And with the upcoming Daredevil show coming up, and we know he's going to be a part of that, we can only imagine the chaos that's going to ensue, and how they're going to forward the story that's been set up from uh from the Netflix shows too, because that those shows left off some pretty crazy notes for the MCU to build off of as well. As far as Echo herself, it would be cool to see her maybe hook up with like Colleen Wing or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, just to go off of what you were talking about, I can't take credit for this because I wasn't paying attention. Obviously, I went to the first like featured thing and selected the Echo series, but what was pointed out in some of the videos and recaps that I've watched was that the Echo series is now put in the category of Defenders, which is what all of the other Marvel Netflix series are listed in. And this could just be like, oh, these are going to be street level. They involve kind of similar characters. But the only thing I could start thinking of was maybe this is a subtle hint that Maya is going to start interacting with some of these people. Now, we already know that she's crossed paths with Daredevil. I'd love to see her interact more with Daredevil. But what I'm really interested to see is if now that we know that, all of these Defenders are canon, are we going to start seeing them in street level stuff involved with New York City and stuff like that? So I would really be interested to see her interact. I said, I'd love to see her interact more with Daredevil, but also I'd love to see Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. I don't really find anyone, like out of bounds for that. I think she'd be a cool addition to the Defenders in general. Like if they got that back together, like that band of heroes back together again, type of thing for like a limited run, or even if it was just like a build up in one of the other series type of thing. I think that would be really interesting to see. I mean, I'm thinking of ground level stuff, which this is what the series are going to start covering and stuff like that. But I'm also thinking of like major level, like movie level stuff, because I mean, Spider-Man No Way Home ended with Tom Holland's Spider-Man kind of rebuilt himself basically from scratch. So now he is our normal Spider-Man in New York City with his own homemade costume. He doesn't have any, computer stuff in his costume. He doesn't have the nanotech Stark stuff anymore. So like, I mean, if I got to imagine, if Kingpin is running for mayor, it's going to give Spidey some trouble too. And we might get, like, I grew up with, that the Spider-Man cartoon where, Kingpin was a main focus in most of the Spider-Man episodes type of thing. So I'd be really interested to see, if moving forward we have like that kind of interaction, even in not just in the series, but in the overarching MCU movies and stuff like that, because that could get really interesting, kind of twisting everything together by one common big bad. Because I mean, I really do feel like Fisk is a street level big bad type of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, he's street level Thanos.
Exactly.
100%.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I'm thinking about like the problems that he's going to give to all of. I'm sure we're gonna start hearing more vigilantes again instead of heroes. I'm sure we're gonna start like getting, if Fisk is mayor, we're gonna start hearing vigilantes instead of heroes again, type of thing. So I'm interested to see the teams that are gonna start forming, because Fisk is gonna have to put something together with super powered people type of thing to be able to fight the Defenders or the vigilantes, which I'm sure he's, like I said, he's probably going to start calling the street level superheroes vigilantes again. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just interested to see how this is going to ripple out from here.
Yeah, there's still the possibility that he bought Avengers Tower too, which is something that still has yet to be another unanswered question within the MCU that still needs to be resolved. But I mentioned Echo, like the character herself. If you were going to see her interact with any more characters, I think characters like Iron Fist and Colleen Wing, who I think had the Iron Fist power by the end of the show. If I remember correctly, I need to watch the second season again. But there's you can have kind of a thing where she's kind of like learning how to use her powers with somebody like a martial artist like Iron Fist. It'd be a great way to weave a character like Danny Rand back into the MCU too, and kind of give him kind of like a redemption because, in my opinion, he's really one of the coolest characters in the MCU, especially as a martial artist. I think you could have just more characters like that. I want to see him and like Shang-Chi interact and just kind of see how those characters fight against each other. Like, I want to see more characters like that again fit in the street level kind of storytelling vibes. And yeah, I think Kingpin being like, again, he's got to be someone you can weave in from like TV and movies. I feel like so you could have him being kind of like maybe not a main villain in the Spider-Man movie, but you have somebody who could be, help funding the main villain of a Spider-Man movie. So it's like,
Right.
there's a lot of ways you could play with him now that he's a part of this bigger world, and now we can start seeing the way these. It's kind of like in the comics, you would have all these New York-based heroes, and they would be
Right.
interacting with each other in some form or another. It didn't matter what scale it was. Like, it's something big wasn't going on, then Spider-Man's doing his thing in New York City, so he would be interacting with these kind of characters. So yeah, I really hope we start seeing a little bit more of like this crossover between what feels like this like A team and B team lists of heroes. Like, just let them start meshing a little bit more, and it makes it. That's what made it fun in the early days of the MCU.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot wait to start seeing interactions. And that's I think what these series should be moving to do is kind of bridging a gap, not making
Yeah.
them kind of isolated type of thing. More bridging gaps between characters that are mainly movie based and series based and
We got
stuff like
mutants
that.
coming in too. Like, we got to start. We got a big melting pot here. We got to start throwing things in.
Yeah.
So let's make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. But as we always say, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What did you think of the Echo series? And where do you think we're going to have Kingpin and Maya pop up next? And as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest audio and video podcast releases. Bye, everybody!
Popping Off presents That Recap Show.